Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Aisha Jasmine. My ID is TH19034. So today I'm going to talk about the general information about Athabasca field in Canada. This field is one of the largest reserve of soil seeds under the boreal of northwestern Alberta, Canada. The Athabasca area was occupied by the First Nations and Métis people. When Alexander McKean in 1792 across the river, he described the soil sands at the same time with David Thompson, and John Franklin did a survey for 20 years. The deposit covered around 142 to 100 square kilometers. These fields, also known as the oil sands regions, that the largest segment of Alberta economy. The heat and pressure created by underground detonations would boil the bitumen deposits and reducing the viscosity to the point standards. The first process to extract bitumen from oil sands on commercial scale that developed in 1920. The scientists that involved in hot water extractions and working for the Athabasca Research Council. Some version of pH thesis approach being used to separate the irradiated bitumen from other constituents of oil sands within the gravity settings vessels. This method requires a huge amount of energy that according around 4% of Eastern Canada sedimentary basins, natural gas productions and set to 10% by 2015. The energy drains and make it viable. Some 33 meters of natural gas is needed to produce 1 barrel of bitumen from in situ methods compared with 19 meters of integrated project. A barrel of oil is equivalent to 162 meters of gas. Current companies that undertake the field is Sensor Energy Sleep Banks and Millennium Mines that produce 263,000 barrels. Fireback SAGD project produce 42,000 barrels, while Saint-Croix Links and Aurora Mines produce 360,000 barrels. Barrels are from the government in Canada. Our applicable external source have been noted. Alberta oil sands proven reverse equal about 165.4 billion barrels. Crude bitumen produced a total about 2.8 billion per day in 2016. The reserve of these fields is up to 75 meters deep down shallows and found only within the Athabasca oil sands area. This surface area is about 4,800 kilometers, and minerable area make up to 3.4% of all Athabasca soil sands. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wondershare Filmora. My ID is TH19034. I would like to present about the regional technicity of Athabasca field, Canada. Okay, the firstly is the basic type and age. The Athabasca basin is noted Saskatchewan and Alberta host the world's largest high-grade uranium deposit, which are generally located near the unconformity between the late Paleoproterozoic to the Mesoproterozoic sedimentary rock at the Athabasca group, and the Archean to Paleoproterozoic metamorphic rocks in the basement. The Athabasca field is known as a plastic sedimentary basin by looking at the history, background data, and also the cross-section. The formation of the basin is a passive margin type basin. The Athabasca basin sequence all begin with a relatively thin crudely coarsely upward set of beds, followed by a series of winding upward beds. The coarsely upward beds may be discontinuous and mud-rich, discontinuous and sandy, or sandy and continuous. The lower coarsely upward parts of each sequence may be assigned to a low accommodation system tract with fluvial deposits infilling lows and progressing into the developing basin. Following this leveling, the early infilling deposits are overlain by a series of better sorted, largely winding upward beds that accompany that upward decrease in energy levels during each major depositional cycle. These deposits form the bulks of each sequence and may be assigned to a high accommodation system tract. Okay, for the basin sedimentary field, as Athabasca field are formed by various formations. There are also a basin. Okay, for the basin sedimentary fields, as Athabasca field are formed by various formations. There are also various types of sedimentary field. For the fair formation, they are conglomeratic, quartz arenite, and minor pebble ascent, which are found in 1752 to 59. There are also red formation which are conglomerate, quartz arenite, and also minor pebble mudstone. Smart formation, there are quartz arenite and local pebble mudstone which are found in 1752 to 59. Winter formation, there are pebbly quartz arenite with 2% of conglomerate pebble, and non-pebbly quartz arenite with 1% clay interclass, and non-pebbly and pebbly quartz arenite with 1% clay interclass, which is 1730 to 40. Lazenby Lake, there are quartz arenite, siltstone, mudstone, and local conglomerate, which is 1 to 70. For Bryn formation, there are quartz arenite and mudstone, which is 1644 to 1630. Local lake formation, conglomerate, quartz arenite, pebbly quartz arenite, which is 1 to 70. Douglas formation, there are mudstone and also fine to very fine quartz arenite, which is 1541 to 1530. Karst formation, there are carbonates, stromatolite, dolomite, stromatolite, oolite with siliclastic interbeds, which are H deposit 1 to 70. Lastly, for the maximum thickness of Athabasca Group, at any one place is about 1,500 meters. Although much has been eroded, and aggregate stratigraphic thickness is 380 meters. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Fanny Liana Alin and my metric number is TH19017. So, I will present about Scope 3. The Athabasca oil sands, which is also known as the Athabasca tar sands, are large deposits of bitumen or extremely heavy crude oil located in the northeastern Alberta, Canada. These oil sands, hosted primarily in the McMurray Formation, consist of a mixture of crude bitumen, which is a semi-solid rock-like form of crude oil, silica sand, clay minerals, and water. The Athabasca deposit is the largest known reservoir of crude bitumen in the world and the largest of three major oil sands in Alberta, along with the nearby Peace River and Cold Lake deposits. The distribution of oil within the Athabasca oil sands is controlled by the petrographic properties of the reservoir rocks. The porosity is intergranular and was established by the sorting action of the traction currents and the winnowing action of its oscillatory current at the same time of deposition. Most of the oil in the Athabasca oil sands is contained in the fluviatile sands and in the fine-grained micaceous sands of the foreset beds of the ancient delta of the McMurray Formation. Three members have been defined within the McMurray Formation. They are lower member, middle member, and upper member. For lower member, it is typically coarse-grained to conglomeratic sand with minor beds of silt and mud. For a middle member, typically massive, well-sorted, fine-grained sand at the base with inclined beds of thick, rippled sand and thin chalet silt parting in the upper portion. For upper member, it is typically horizontal beds of argillaceous, very fine-grained sand.
Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to my fellow friend and my respectful lecturer. First of all, my name is Amzar Isa bin Abdullah, TH19001. So today I will be presenting about thread formation of the Athabasca oil sands. The petroleum for the Athabasca oil sands has remained elusive because it was destroyed by fractural loading of the Western Canada sedimentary basin during the late Cretaceous and Paleocene, and the peripheral thread domain that lie below the Paleopil point in the northern, southern and southwestern Athabasca represent a late charge of oil that was trapped by bitumen already in place in the anticline and the eastern onlet thread. And this thread domain to be stratigraphic thread, where the reservoir interval onlets the Canadian Shield, and the shallowest thread domain located in northeast Athabasca, that the thickest zone of lean bitumen and water are found at the top of the reservoir interval in this area. So next is the diagram of the Athabasca thread. We see that the northern of the Athabasca thread is the bitumen thread, and the northeast is the stratigraphic thread, which are onlet, and the central are the structural thread. So next we are going to generation and migration. The oil sands deposit in the Western Canada sedimentary basin comprise of at least 85% of the total immobile bitumen in place in the world, and are so concentrated as to be virtually the only such deposits that are economically recoverable for conversion to oil. The bitumen reserve have oil gravities ranging from 8 to 12 American Petroleum Institute, and are hosted in the reservoir of parent age ranging from Devonian to early Cretaceous. So this is the diagram for the petroleum system migration. Basically, the dark blue are the postulated lodgepole source pool, and the bright blue are postulated at shore Bakken source pool, and the green one are main by group oil sands, which are at the Athabasca oil sands. That's all from me. Thank you.
For conclusions, actually, the early stages of basin development of the Athabasca field represented by the Fairpoint, Smart Raid, and Manita Falls formations were strongly influenced by an extensive mountain belt in the east, represented by the now exhumed Trans-Hudson origins. Some influence also from local sources in the western part of the basin and depositions in the influenced by an extensive mountain belt in the east, represented by the now exhumed Trans-Hudson origins. Some influence also from local sources in the western part of the basin and depositions in the more restricted fault influence setting are supported by data from the Fairpoint information.